sisters hand in hand flank the stage on a little plot of land. Towering flamboyantly, Mother Nature's royalty. The seasons come and go and they still stand. 60 years, it ain't so long if you're a tree or a dusty road in cobblestone beneath our city streets, or ancient words upon the pages handed down through the ages, just longing to be once again set free. Gather round as the sun goes down, setting on our shoulders, listen to the sound, watch it all unfold. The story being told might be a tale of young lovers growing old, or captains and queens, feuds and wedding rings. We might just sing and dance the night away. You always loved the fool in the face of ridicule. He never was afraid to break the rules. Someday when you find yourself alone, homesick and far away, or sequestered in your home, just try and put your mind at ease through comedies and tragedies as the fireflies and moonlight glow. There's a lesson somewhere lurking in the night. It might be on the page in black and white, or hiding in the faces, the footnotes and the places, the tears and the laughter bring to light. Gather round as the sun goes down, setting on our shoulders, listen to the sound, watch it all unfold. The story being told might be a tale of young lovers growing old, or one of captains and queens, feuds and wedding rings. We might just sing and dance the night away. You always loved the fool in the face of ridicule. He never was afraid to break through.
What a beautiful night. I'm Matt Wallace. I'm the producing artistic director of Kentucky Shakespeare and the director of tonight's production, and we're delighted to have you with us. Oh, stop. Decades of service to Kentucky Shakespeare Festival.
You do look, my child, in a move-it sort, as if you were dismayed. Be cheerful, friends. Our revels now are ended. These our actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits and are melted into air, into thin air, and like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherit, shall dissolve, and like this insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a rack behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. Oh, I am vexed. Bear with my weakness. My old brain is troubled. Be not disturbed with my infirmity. If you be pleased, retire into my cell and there repose. A turn or two I'll walk to still my beating mind.
I know a bank where the wild thyme blows, where ox slips and the nodding violet grows, quite over-canopied with luscious woodbine, with sweet musk roses and with eglantine. There sleeps Titania some time of the night, lulled in these flowers with dances and delight. And there the snake throws her enameled skin, weed wide enough to wrap a fairy in.
Now, my co-mates and partners in exile, hath not old custom made this life more sweet than that of painted pomp? Are not these woods more free from peril than is the envious court?
Here feel we not the penalty of Adam? The season's difference is the churlish chiding of the winter's wind? Why, these are counselors that feelingly persuade me what I am.
Sweet are the uses of adversity, and this our life exempt from public haunt finds tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything.
I would not change it.
Is all our company met?
You were best to call them generally, one by one, according to the script.
Here is the scroll of everyone's name who has thought fit through all Athens to play in our interlude before the Duke and the Duchess.
First, say what our play treats on, and so grow to a point.
Mary! Our play is The Most Lamentable Comedy and Most Cruel Death of Pyramus and Thisbe.
A very good piece of work, I assure you, and Mary.
There are your scripts. And I am to entreat you, to request you, and desire you to con them by tomorrow night, and meet me in the Palace Wood, a mile without the town, by moonlight. There will we rehearse, for if we meet in the city, we shall be dogged with company and our devices known. I pray you fail me not.
We will meet, and there we may rehearse most obscenely and courageously. Take pains, be perfect. Adieu.
At the Duke's Oak, we meet.
Enough! Hold or cut bowstrings.
Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as many of your players do, I as lief the town crier spoke my lines. Nor do not saw the air too much with your hand, thus, but use all gently. For in the very torrent, tempest, and as I may say, the whirlwind of your passion, you must acquire and beget a temperance that maketh its smoothness. Oh, it offends me to the soul to hear a robustious, periwig-pated fellow tear a passion to tatters, to very rags, to split the ears of the groundlings.
I warrant your honor.
Be not too tame neither, but let your own discretion be your tutor. Suit the action to the word to the action, with this special observance, that you o'erstep not the modesty of nature. For anything so overdone is from the purpose of playing, whose end, both at the first and now, was and is to hold, as 'twere, the mirror up to nature, to show virtue, her own feature, scorn, her own image, in the very age and body of the time, his form and pressure. Now this overdone, or come tardy off, though it make the unskillful laugh, cannot but make the judicious grieve, the censure of the which one must in your allowance o'erweigh a whole theater of others. Oh, there be players that I have seen play, and heard others praise, and that highly, that have so strutted and bellowed, that I thought some of nature's journeymen had made men, and not made them well. They imitated humanity so abominably.
I hope we have reformed that indifferently with us, sir.
Oh, reform it altogether. And let those that play your clowns speak no more than is set down for them. For there be of them that will themselves laugh, to set on some quantity of barren spectators to laugh too, though in the meantime some necessary question of the play be then to be considered. That's villainous, and shows a most pitiful ambition in the fool that uses it. Go, make you ready.
Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention.
A kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene.
Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars.
And at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment.
But pardon, gentles all. The flat, unraised spirits that have dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object.
Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France?
Or may we cram within this wooden O the very casks that did affright the air at Agincourt?
Oh, pardon, since a crooked figure may attest and little place a million.
And let us, ciphers to this great account, on your imaginary forces work.
Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts.
Into 1,000 parts divide one man, and make imaginary puissance.
Think when we talk of horses, that you see them, printing their proud hooves in the receiving earth. For 'tis your thoughts that now must deck our kings.
Carry them here and there, jumping o'er times?
Turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass.
For the which supply, admit me chorus to this history.
Who prologue like your humble patience pray.
Gently to hear, kindly to judge our play!
I believe theater should come from the ground roots. The people make it go. I've never been very good at playing the social world.
You can tell that they are personally committed to doing a show outside, free to the public, and making it part of our life here in Louisville, Kentucky. And that's why I think that's why it's lasted. It's why Doug Rainey did it. It was a labor of love.
It meant so much to me because here was a man who did this for no money, survived his whole life trying to make it work, and would share any idea possible. and worked his whole life. I found the passion of theater, but then I fell in love with Shakespeare.
I arrived in Louisville in August of 1979 to become an acting ensemble member of Stage 1, the Louisville Children's Theater. I arrived too late to see a free production of Shakespeare in Central Park, or to meet Doug Rainey, who died earlier that year. The next summer, I was selected by Becky Jo Schneider to be a member of the acting ensemble of Shakespeare in Central Park. It was the first summer in 19 years that Doug's live presence no longer walked among the trees in Central Park, but I felt his strong presence around the amphitheater. It was that summer that I fell madly in love with Doug and his vision for free Shakespeare in Central Park. 10 years later, I became the producing artistic director.
Everything we do is focused on how to make our work more accessible to people all over the region, state, Louisville, and right here in Central Park. Shakespeare's stories are universal, and we work constantly to remove barriers and make sure everyone can experience them. When we say this is your Kentucky Shakespeare, that's what we mean. I'm confident Doug would agree, and we're proud to uphold his vision in the work we do today.
Doug was an affable man, and he was an impressive actor. He had this wonderful bass voice, and he also had charm, which helped in recruiting actors to work for him without getting a lot of money. We were all fond of Doug, and it was partly because he gave us a chance to do a lot of Shakespeare.
So I joined in 1962, and I know, because I was there, the stage was a boxing ring, and the backdrop was a circus wagon.
Through the house give gathering light by the dead and drowsy fire. Every elf and fairy sprite hop as light as bird from briar.
Hand in hand with fairy grace will we sing and bless this place. Now until the break of day, through this house each fairy stray.
To the best bride bed will we, which by us shall blessed be, and the issue there create, ever shall be fortunate.
With this field do consecrate, every fairy take his gate, and each several chamber bless, through this palace with sweet peace,
and the owner of it bless,
ever shall in safety rest.
Trip away, make no stay.
Meet me all by break of day.
I'm tired, but I want to stay awake for the whole play. I began coming last year because I like to see the actors in person. I don't understand some of the words, but this is better than watching cowboys on television who are all the same. Besides, this is in color. Mary Susan Johnson, age 8.
My stepfather was a concert pianist, and he's the one who took me to see plays at Kentucky Shakespeare Festival when I was 8 years old. So I had a chance to see Mr. Doug Rainey, another wonderful actress of the day, perform on that stage as a child.
One of the things that Doug wanted was to have theater, Shakespeare, for people who couldn't afford it, who couldn't see it, for the people who lived around Central Park. We attracted a lot of kids. And maybe some yelled at us or made fun of us. But there were ones that were there for the summer, and they would come back. They would hold a book, they'd prompt, they'd go get Cokes for us, but they were there. They were there.
So every day during rehearsal, we had bicycles and kids. Doug would sit on the first 3 or 4 rows and talk to the kids in the neighborhood and explain what was going on.
I am merely one of thousands of young actors Doug Rainey introduced to the theater. He gave the young actor a chance to grow and learn. Becky Jo Schneider.
How camest thou
thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? The orchard walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death, considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here.
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they saw thee here.
I have night's cloak to hide me from their sight, and but thou love me, let them find me here.
By whose direction foundst thou out this place?
By love, who first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me counsel, and I lent him eyes.
Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou mayst prove false. Oh, at lovers' perjuries they say Jove laughs. Oh, gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. Or if thou thinkst I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and say thee nay, so thou wilt woo, but else not for the world.
Lady, by yonder blessed moon, I swear that tips with silver all these fruit treetops.
Oh, swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon, who monthly changes in her circled orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable.
What shall I swear by?
Do not swear at all. Or, if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the god of my idolatry, and I'll believe thee.
If my heart's dear love can...
Well, do not swear. Although I joy in thee, I have no joy of this contract tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning, what doth cease to be ere one can say it lightens. Sweet, good night. This bud of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. I hear some noise within. Dear love, adieu. Anon, good nurse. Sweet Montague, be true. Stay but a little. I'll come again.
Oh, blessed, blessed night, I am afeard. Being in night, all this but a dream. Too flattering sweet to be substantial.
3 words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If that thy bent of love be honorable, thy purpose marriage, send me word tomorrow, where and what time thou wilt perform the rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world.
Madam?
I come, anon! But if thou meet'st not well, I do beseech thee.
Madam!
By and by I come, to cease thy suit, and leave me to my grief. Tomorrow will I send.
So thrive my soul.
Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be morrow.
Our audience is the nearest thing to Shakespeare's old Globe Theater that you'll ever find. He had his groundlings, you know, who stood and ate oranges during the play and sometimes threw them at the actors. And we have our kids, who sit there and munch apples and Cracker Jacks, and their parents who wander in looking for their kids and sit down by them and listen too. C. Douglas Rainey, founder.
The theater really operated on a shoestring at that time. In fact, I'm not exactly sure how Doug made it go. He did have some sponsors. I believe I know Jack Klaus, May Salyers. Doug stopped acting with the company in the early 1970s. His health was not good for the last 9 or 10 years of his life, but the show went on.
Fidelity to Doug's vision. And just to do Shakespeare, for heaven's sakes, Shakespeare. And to keep it free. All those things go back to what Doug wanted. And the amphitheater is the C. Douglas Rainey Amphitheater, and there's a bronze plaque of him.
Oh, Macbeth was his favorite. He played Macbeth until he just could not play it anymore. One night we were doing a show, and he came in from a different entrance. I was playing a witch. He came in from a different entrance, and he put his arm up kind of behind me. And we finished the scene, and I went off, and he said, I didn't want to tell you, but that set piece was going to fall down. So he held the set piece up and did the witch's scene. I mean, that's just the way he was.
She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace. From day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Fear no more the heat of the sun, nor the furious winter's rages. Thou thy worldly task hast done, home art gone, and ta'en thy wages. Golden lads and girls all must, as chimney sweepers, come to dust.
Fear no more the frown of the great. Thou art past the tyrant's stroke. Care no more to clothe and eat. To thee the reed is as the oak. The scepter, learning, physic must all follow this and come to dust.
Fear no more the lightning flash,
Nor the all-dreaded thunderstone.
Fear not slander, censure rash.
Thou hast finished joy and moan.
All lovers young, all lovers must consign to thee and come to dust.
No exerciser harm thee,
nor no witchcraft charm thee.
Ghost unlaid forbear thee,
nor nothing ill come near thee.
Quiet consummation have, and renowned be thy grave.
Even when it was kind of ragtag and barely able to get up, it was done out of regard and respect for the art form, and done out of regard and respect for the community of Louisville, and that's why it's lasted. And it took a lot of people and a lot of good souls and a lot of help from the community to keep it that way.
Becky Jo Schneider had taken over as producer by the time I was first cast. And with her, she brought a new era of strategic planning. Her goal was to take this up-and-coming community theater that was starting to gain some attention locally and turn it into a professional company that paid actors and technicians and craftspeople pretty well and brought people in from other parts of the country as well. But I think one of her greatest achievements was making Kentucky Shakespeare a real part of the local cultural landscape. And she did that by involving the whole city. Whenever there was an opening, she would get the local TV stations to send crews. And so that night on the news there was video of big crowds and smiling faces in Central Park, and it looked like a lot of people were having a lot of fun. And the message was, The circus has come to town. You need to join us. It may be Shakespeare, but yes, it is a lot of fun, and everybody is here in Central Park. Why aren't you?
I feel Becky Jo has got some real good ideas to help pick things up and help us get more funding and improve productions. Becky Jo has a real regard for Doug. She owes a lot to him because he gave her some opportunities when she was pretty young. Also, she was one of the best Ophelias we've ever had. May Salyers.
We are dedicated to quality professional Shakespeare and as a training ground for young actors. So many want a chance to do Shakespeare. Becky Jo Schneider.
I give Becky Jo a lot of credit of really trying to help this company begin to stand on its own legs.
Come, I warrant thee, we will undertake one of Hercules' labors, which is to bring Senior Benedict and the Lady Beatrice into a mountain of affection, the one with the other.
My lord, I am for you. And I, my lord.
I will do any modest office, my lord, to help my cousin to a good husband.
If we can do this, Cupid is no longer an archer. His glory shall be ours, for we are the only love gods. Go with me.
Now, Ursula, when Beatrice doth come, my talk to thee must be how Benedict is sick in love with Beatrice. For look, where Beatrice, like a lapwing, runs close by the ground to hear our conference.
See where Benedict hath hid himself?
Oh, very well, my lord.
Come hither. Leonardo, what was it you spoke of today? That your niece, Beatrice, was in love with Senior Benedict?
Oh, aye, stalk on, the fowl sits. I did never think that lady would have loved any man.
No, nor I neither. But how wonderful that she so dotes on Signor Benedict, whom she hath in all outward behavior seemed ever to abhor. I cannot tell what to think of it, but that she loves him with an enraged affection. It is past the infinite of thought.
Bait the hook well. This fish will bite.
Then go we near her, that her ear lose nothing of the false sweet bait we lay for it. No, truly, Ursula, she is too disdainful.
But are you sure that Benedict loves Beatrice so entirely?
So says the prince of my new-trothed lord. They did entreat me to acquaint her of it, but I persuaded them. If they loved Benedict, they would wish him wrestle with affection and never let Beatrice know of it.
How? How, pray you? You amaze me. I would have thought his spirit had been invincible against all assaults of affection.
I would have sworn it had, my lord, especially against Benedict.
He hath ta'en the infection. Hold it up.
She cannot love, nor take no shape nor project of affection. She is so self-endeared.
Sure, I think so. And therefore, certainly it were not good she knew his love, lest she make sport at it.
Therefore, let Benedict, like covered fire, consume away in size, waste inwardly.
Hath she made her affection known to Benedict?
No, and swears she never will. That's her torment.
'Tis true indeed, so says your daughter. Shall I, says she, who hath so oft encountered him with scorn, write to him that I love him?
Yet tell her of it. Hear what she will say.
No. Rather, I will go to Benedict and counsel him to fight against his passion.
Oh, do not do your cousin such a wrong. She cannot be so much without true judgment as to refuse a man so rare as Signor Benedict.
She's an excellent, sweet lady. And above all suspicion, she is virtuous.
And she is exceeding wise.
In everything but in loving Benedict.
He is the only man of Italy.
Signor Benedict? For shape, for bearing, argument, and valor goes foremost in report through Italy.
Oh, indeed, he hath an excellent good name.
I love Benedict. Well, and I could wish that he would modestly examine himself to see how much he is unworthy so good a lady.
My lord, will you walk? Dinner is ready.
If he do not dote on her upon this, I will never trust my expectation.
Come, go in.
She is limed, I warn you. We have caught her, madam.
If it proves so, loving goes by haps. Some Cupid kills with arrows, some with traps.
What fire is in mine ears? Can this be true?
This can be no trick. The conference was sadly born.
Stand I condemned for pride and scorn so much.
It seems her affections have their full bent. Love me? Why, it must be requited.
Contempt, farewell, and maiden pride, adieu. And Benedict, love on, I will requite thee.
The world must be peopled.
If thou dost love, my kindness shall incite thee to bind our loves up in a holy band.
When I said I would die a bachelor, I did not think I should live till I were married.
For others say thou dost deserve, and I believe it better than reportingly.
Welcome to the 60th anniversary of your Kentucky Shakespeare Festival in Central Park. I'm Matt Wallace, and it's my honor and my privilege to be the producing artistic director of Kentucky Shakespeare. We are so grateful to have this opportunity to present our season in this digital format. But I must say, it's bittersweet being here in our amphitheater with an empty audience. Here, surrounded by these three beautiful trees, these three sisters, as we call them, that have absorbed so much Shakespeare and joy throughout the years. If you haven't heard, we have moved our entire in-person season to 2021 with Shakespeare in Love, Henry V, The Merry Wives of Windsor. We'll also have our Globe Players professional training program for high school students with Midsummer Night's Dream, the Louisville Improvisers with Late Night Shakes Improvised Shakespeare, and the Louisville Ballet with another world premiere piece inspired by Shakespeare, Shakespeare in Dance. We have to take this moment to acknowledge all of the amazing people throughout the years who've worked with Kentucky Shakespeare to get us to where we are today. We have to acknowledge you, all of our Kentucky Shakespeare family members, supporting us now and throughout the years. And thank you to our donors. At the credits of this, you're going to see a bunch of names of all the people who've supported us. Thank you to those many individual donors. We are able to do this because of you. Thank you to our sponsors, Fund for the Arts, Brown-Forman, the Kentucky Arts Council, Louisville Metro, and all the other many sponsors you'll see in the credits of this. If you would like to support us and become one of those donors, there are a couple ways to do it. In the early days of Kentucky Shakespeare Festival, there would be an empty bourbon barrel, and people would put donations in, and that's why we call it barreling at intermission. Well, it's 2020. So if you'd like to support Kentucky Shakespeare and you're on Facebook, you'll see a donate button. Please click that now, and please consider joining us. You can also visit our website at kyshakespeare.com/donate, and you can check out donor perks and more information on your tax-deductible contribution. Thank you for your support. You are our very best form of advertising. Please, if you enjoy this production, spread the word. Post, share, tag us on social media. This production is going to be left up for everyone to view. Also, if you want to hear more about our upcoming projects, we've got lots of exciting things in store. Please visit kyshakespeare.com or follow us on social media. We miss you, and we cannot wait to be with you here together again in Central Park. Thank you for joining us virtually. And now here's Act 2 of Celebrate 60, the Kentucky Shakespeare Festival anniversary production. Thanks for helping to keep Will free for another 60 years.
Where hast thou been, sister?
Killing swine!
Sister, where thou?
A sailor's wife had chestnuts in her lap, and munched, and munched, and munched. Give me, quoth I. Aroint thee, witch, the rump-fed runyon cries. Her husband's to Aleppo gone, master of the tiger. But in a sieve I'll thither sail, and like a rat without a tail, I'll do, and I'll do.
I'll give thee a wing.
Not kind.
And I another.
I myself have all the other. In the very points they blow, all the quarters that they know with a shipman's card. I'll drain him dry as hay. Sleep shall neither night nor day hang upon his penthouse lid. He shall live a man for me.
Weary 7 nights, 9 times 9, shall he dwindle, peak, and pine.
Though his bark cannot be lost, yet it shall be tempest-tossed.
Look what I have.
Show me, show me.
Here I have a pilot's thumb. Wrapped as homeward he did come.
A drum! A drum! Macbeth.com.
I spent all of these summer nights backstage waiting to go on, looking at these trees. And in one particular peculiar sense, it's as if it's all happening at the same time.
Re-examining it to make it more a part of the park itself, nature, wanting to incorporate the 3 trees that anchor the stagehouse. The stagehouse more or less covered and put the center tree into a different perspective. And now it's much more dominant.
Well, if you do it right, it's accessible to anybody. Shakespeare was essentially writing for an 8th grade audience. That was the education level at the very most of the people that Shakespeare was writing for.
Because Shakespeare wrote for actors. He wrote for audiences also because he said things in a way that not just the aristocracy would understand, but the groundlings would also. Because Shakespeare is about the human condition. It's about, today we still have the same needs, wants, desires, feelings as they did in 1500 when Shakespeare was writing his plays.
I feel like Shakespeare does the work for you. You say the words and you feel what you're supposed to feel. The audience gets what's happening with you and totally gets drawn in. So there's a magic in getting yourself to a place where you can just say the words with intent and character, and the audience is with you 100%.
If we are marked to die, we are enough to do our country loss. And if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honor. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man more.
By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost.
It yearns me not if men my garments wear. Such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I am the most offending soul alive.
No, faith, my cuz, wish not a man from England. God's peace, I would not lose so great an honor.
As one man more, methinks, would share from me for the best hope I have. Oh, do not wish one more.
Rather proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he which hath no stomach to this fight,
let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put into his purse.
We would not die in that man's company that fears his fellowship to die with us.
This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when the day is named, and rouse him at the name of Crispian.
He that shall live this day and see old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors.
And say, tomorrow is St. Crispian. Then will he strip his sleeve and show his scars.
And say these wounds I had on Crispin's day. Old men forget,
yet all shall be forgot.
But he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. Then shall our names,
familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter,
Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their flowing cups freshly remembered.
This story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispin Crispian shall ne'er go by from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered.
We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition.
And gentlemen in England, now abed, shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whilst any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's Day.
I believe in historical memory. I believe in legacy. I never forgot on whose shoulders I stood when I became the producing artistic director in 1989. First, I stood on Doug Rainey's shoulders when he founded Shakespeare in Central Park and sustained his vision for 19 years. Next, I stood on Becky Jo Schneider's shoulders when she worked with Doug as an actor and assisted him in his final years. And after he died, she took the leadership mantle from him and forged ahead. Then I stood on Hal Park's shoulders, who was the first leader to follow the heritage of Becky Jo and Doug, and who, before he departed, rebuilt the stagehouse, lighting grid, and the audience footprint of the Central Park Amphitheater. Each of these amazing leaders were totally committed to sustaining the tradition of free Shakespeare in Central Park.
An experience that goes beyond just the presentation of the play. I mean, I do believe that that's what Becky did. I'm sure her way of presenting Shakespeare was, she gleaned from her mentor, Doug. And I think that Matt has a direct sort of that mentorship that Becky and Kurt, but also Becky in this particular piece of it. This idea of creating this event that goes beyond just the play itself and create something really fun, that people want to be a part of. And what a great way to experience Shakespeare. Make it fun for everybody.
I enjoyed it as a kid, and I'm 65 today, and I want my grandkids to have the same opportunity that I had and enjoy Shakespeare. See, that's the thing that Shakespeare gives us, the opportunity to understand, a greater understanding, first of all, of the arts through Shakespeare.
Ye elves of hills, brooks, standing lakes and groves,
and ye that on the sands with printless foot do chase the ebbing Neptune and do fly him when he comes back.
You demi-puppets that by moonshine do the green sour ringlets make, whereof the ewe not bites.
And you, whose pastime is to make midnight mushrooms, that rejoice to hear the solemn curfew, by whose aid, weak masters though ye be,
I have bedimmed the noontide sun, called forth the mutinous winds, and twixt the green sea and the azured vault set roaring war.
To the dread rattling thunder have I given fire, and rifted Jove's stout oak with his own bolt.
The strong-based promontory have I made shake, and by the spurs plucked up the pine and cedar.
Graves, at my command, have waked their sleepers, oped and let 'em forth by my so potent art.
But this rough magic I here abjure.
And when I've required some heavenly music, which even now I do, to work mine end upon their senses, that this airy charm is for,
I'll break my staff, bury it certain fathoms in the earth,
and deeper than did ever plummet's sound, I'll drown my book.
I think it's exhilarating. And Central Park is one of my favorite places to perform in the world.
As you might imagine, giving our summer performances away for free and producing in an outdoor amphitheater, there are many challenging events that transpired over my 20-year tenure as producing artistic director. Those challenges are part of the process of producing live outdoor theater. Nothing ever goes perfectly. We had to embrace those imperfections because oftentimes that's where the art lives.
One of my favorite stories is we were focusing the show and about 10 o'clock at night, and this little guy about, he could have been maybe 8, had been apparently watching daytime rehearsals and came running up on the stage, and every time I brought up a light to focus it, he would run to get in the pool of light and start paraphrasing what he had seen in rehearsal. And he completely was aware of what was going on in the play because he was recreating it in his own words. And that was it was pretty powerful.
It's about human interaction and the healing power of the arts. As for the future, it's about having the courage to step into the abyss of not knowing.
To be or not to be, that is the question.
To be or not to be, that is the question!
To be or not to be, that is the question.
To be or not to be, that is the question! Yes! Whether...
I mean, I've seen squirrels and all kinds of creatures, but one night I think it was Monty, they came out to the edge kind of the stage and were doing their talking and everything, and the dog, as soon as they came out, jumped at them, and they both jumped back, and I don't know who was scared worse, them or the dog. Art Burns played Henry IV. He had this big monologue. It was the old tiring house, and Kurt had him up on the above in the center. And every night at the same point in his monologue, it was something about his voice or his volume. A squirrel would run from the uplift corner of the truss straight across to the center point. So now she's like 4 feet above his head, yelling at him and making so much noise that he got to the point where every night he would stop and look up at her, and she's just chittering to beat the band. You know, she is so upset with him. And he would talk to her, and she would calm down, and then he would immediately turn around, back in character, and pick up his monologue.
In Midsummer Night's Dream, I was wearing an ass's head that had been specially made for me, but it was not easy for me to see out of it. I had to move very carefully and point the ass's head in just the right direction before I could see anything at all. One night, as I was pontificating, a dog came up on stage barking at me in a very threatening way. I thought, oh no, this is where it ends. Rabies. But somebody finally came up and grabbed the dog by the collar and led him away.
Working in the park is wonderful. It's an Olmsted-designed park who designed Central Park in New York. So it's a beautiful, beautiful park. You're working outside. Last summer there was an owl that every once in a while you could hear in the trees behind the stage. At one point during a performance, it was an As You Like It. A dog just wandered up on stage in the middle of a dance. The dog was just sort of dancing with us on stage.
Nay, 'twill be this hour ere I have done weeping. I think Crab, my dog, be the sourest natured dog that lives. My mother weeping, my father wailing, my sister crying, our maid howling, our cat wringing her hands. Yet did not this cruel-hearted cur shed one tear. He is a stone, a very pebble stone. Hath no more pity in him than a dog. May I show you the manner of it? This shoe is my father. No, this left shoe is my father. No. This left shoe is my mother. Yeah, that cannot be so neither. Aye. It is so. It hath the worser soul. This shoe with the hole in it is my mother. And this, my father. A vengeance on it, there it is. Now, so this staff is my sister. This hat is Nan, our maid. I am the dog. No, the dog is himself, and I am the dog. Oh, the dog is me, and I am myself. Aye, so. Now, come I to my father. Father, your blessing? Now should not the shoe speak a word for weeping? Now should I kiss my father? Well, he weeps on. Now come I to my mother. I kiss her. Why, there it is. There's my mother's breath up and down. Now come I to my sister. Mark the moan she makes. Now the dog, all this while, sheds not a tear, nor speaks a word. But see how I lay the dust with my tears.
When you sit in the Central Park Amphitheater on a summer night and you look around the audience, you'll see representatives from every zip code within a 60-mile drive radius of Louisville. There's every race, color, and creed, every socioeconomic level, every education level, every sexual persuasion, every gender identity, every physical ability level, and every age. Free Shakespeare in Central Park is truly the only place in Louisville where all human beings who live in the area can, if they choose, come to Central Park each summer to see art being made in the moment right before their eyes. For me as an artist, that's my greatest joy. And I think that goes for those who have committed or are committing their lives to continuing the grand tradition of Free Shakespeare in Central Park.
It's just something about it. It's outdoors, and it just gives you a real comfortable, relaxed feeling. And everybody is so friendly and so nice. They never mind if you talk to them, or, if a kid comes up in the park and wants to talk to one of the actors and things, they always take that little special time to talk to them, and to anybody. It doesn't matter who they are, and I love that. I like to see that, and I like to see how people blend together and enjoy talking to each other, and it just feels like home.
I think that wonderful to have the audience to have access, and it thrills me to go to the park and see how many people just sort of wander in and get caught up.
Poor naked wretches, wheresoe'er you are, that bide the pelting of this pitiless storm. How shall your houseless heads and unfed sides, your looped and windowed raggedness defend you from seasons such as these? Oh, I've ta'en too little care of this. Take physic, pomp. Expose thyself to feel what wretches feel, that thou mayest shake the superflux to them and make the heavens more just.
I have of late, but wherefore I know not, lost all my mirth, forgone all custom of exercise, and indeed it goes so heavily with my disposition that this goodly frame, the earth, seems to me a sterile promontory. This most excellent canopy, the air, look you, this majestical roof fretted with golden fire. Why, it appears no other thing to me than a foul and pestilent congregation of vapors. What a piece of work is a man! How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form and moving, how express and admirable, in action, how like an angel, in apprehension, how like a god. The beauty of the world, the paragon of animals, and yet to me, what is this quintessence of dust?
The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. 'Tis mightiest in the mightiest. It becomes the throned monarch better than his crown. His scepter shows the force of temporal power, the attribute to awe and majesty, wherein doth sit the dread and fear of kings. But mercy is above this sceptered sway. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute to God himself. And earthly power doth then show likes God's when mercy seasons justice.
By demonstrating that Kentucky Shakespeare is rooted in and committed to the Louisville community, that this is a unique experience that you can't just import from another city, the summer festival came back with a vengeance. When people make decisions about how to spend their precious free time, it's no surprise when they reach for the option that sounds like the most fun. Who knew that would be Shakespeare? Well, Matt Wallace and his company knew it. They bet the season on it and won.
It's a pretty high honor and a privilege to know that a majority of the Shakespeare that this community is going to see is going to be us doing it. So I think we have a great responsibility to do that truthfully and with integrity, on stage and off. It's a truly special, unique company and tradition. I just love being out in the audience, talking to all the people who have their own Kentucky Shakespeare stories. People who went on their first date here, coming back with their grown children, or memorializing a loved one, and what it means to them. That's bigger than any of us.
We have a lot of people who would never see Shakespeare except for this. The fact that it doesn't cost them anything is important. We have kids, sometimes young kids, who show up with surprising knowledge of the plays and some of the lines of the plays that we do.
So I guess in some ways, Kentucky Shakespeare experience reminds me of my very, very beginning of making the decision to go the route that I did. It's important to
community. Matt tells me, give me the report of how many people have recorded. You know, it's sort of staggering to me that that many people are exposed to and enjoy the theater. They can do it, and they don't have to be pretentious, and they don't have to be dressed up. They can just wander through, and it's a wonderful blend of nature and the ancient art of theater.
Everyone here knows I'm the happiest when there's a huge crowd in Central Park. It's exciting. We've had 1,500 plus people out there. In our most recent in-person season in 2019, on a Saturday night, we had probably 1,300 or 1,400 people out there. Our Shakespeare Veterans program performed the pre-show that night. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing some military veterans in wheelchairs, and I'm seeing people of all races and ages, people with their baby carriage, and people who brought their dogs, and parents setting up a tent and their kids watching the play from inside the tent, and everyone experiencing this live moment together, free. I see this gathering place, this home for so many, and I think this is why I'm here. Those are the best nights.
Closing night here, the 59th season. 1, 2, 3. Yes!
When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state.
And trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate.
Wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed.
Desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least.
Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state.
Like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate.
For thy sweet love remembered, such wealth brings.
That then I scorn to change my state with kings.
Now, at the latest minute of the hour, grant us your loves.
A time methinks too short to make a world without end bargain in. Go with speed to some forlorn and naked hermitage, remote from all the pleasures of the world. There stay till the 12 celestial signs have brought about the annual reckoning.
If this austere, insociable life change not your offer made in heat of blood, if frosts and fasts, hard lodging and thin weeds nip not the gaudy blossoms of your love, but that they bear this trial and last love, then, at the expiration of this year, come challenge me.
Challenge me by these deserts, and I will be thine. Until that instant, shut my woeful self up in a mourning house, raining the tears of lamentation.
But what to me, my love? Shall I say thank you?
Not so, my lord. A 12-month and a day. I'll mock no words that smooth-faced wooers say.
I'll serve thee true, and faithfully till then.
What says Maria?
At the 12 months' end, I'll change my black gown for a faithful friend.
I'll stay with patience, but the time is long.
The like are you. Few taller are so young.
You shall this 12-month term from day to day visit the speechless sick and still converse with groaning wretches, and your task shall be, with all the fierce endeavor of your wit, to enforce the pained impotent to smile.
A 12-month? Well, befall what will befall, I'll jest a 12 months in a hospital.
Aye, sweet my lord, and so I take my leave.
No, madam, we will bring you on your way.
Our wooing doth not end like an old play.
Come, sir. It wants a 12-month and a day, and then 'twill end.
That's too long for a play.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears.
The weight of this sad time we must obey. Speak what we feel, not what we ought to say.
So on your patience evermore attending, new joy wait on you. Here our play has ended.
Now does my project gather to a head.
My tongue is weary when my legs are too. I will bid you good night, and so kneel down before you.
Sound drums and trumpets, farewell, sour annoy, for here I hope begins our lasting joy.
So call the field to rest, and let's away to pote the glories of this happy day.
It is not the fashion to see the lady, the epilogue, but it is no more unhandsome than to see the lord, the prologue. I am sure as many as have good beards or good faces or sweet breaths will, for my kind offer, when I make curtsy, bid me farewell.
If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here, while these visions did appear, and this weak and idle theme, no more yielding, but a dream. Gentles, do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. And as I am an honest puck, if we have unearned luck now to escape the serpent's tongue, we will make amends ere long, else the puck a liar call. So, good night unto you all. Give me your hands, if we be friends, and Robin shall restore amends.
Please you, draw near. Now my charms are all o'erthrown, and what strength I have's mine own, which is most faint.
Now, 'tis true, I must be here confined by you, or sent to Naples.
Let me not, since I have my dukedom got, and pardon the deceiver, dwell in this bare island by your spell.
But release me from my bands, with the help of your good hands.
Gentle breath of yours my sails must fill, or else my project fails, which was to please.
Now I want spirits to enforce, arts to enchant, and my ending is despair.
Unless I be relieved by prayer, which pierces so that it assaults mercy itself and frees all faults.
As you from crimes would pardon thee, let your indulgence set me free.
Sisters hand in hand flank the stage on a little plot of land. Towering flamboyantly, Mother Nature's royalty. The seasons come and go and they still stand. 60 years, it ain't so long if you're a tree or a dusty road in cobblestone beneath our city street. Handed down through the ages, just longing to be once again set free. Gather round as the sun goes down, setting on our shoulders, listen to the sound, watch it all unfold. The story being told might be a tale of young lovers growing old. For captains and queens, feuds and wedding rings, we might just sing and dance the night away. You always loved the fool in the face of ridicule. He never was afraid to break through. Just try and put your mind at ease through comedies and tragedies as the fireflies and moonlight glow. There's a lesson somewhere lurking in the night. It might be on the page in black and white, or hiding in the faces, the footnotes and the places, the tears and the laughter bring to light. Gather round as the sun goes down, setting on our shoulders, listen to the sound. Watch it all unfold, the story being told might be a tale of young lovers growing old.
Think when we talk of horses that you see them, printing their proud hooves in the receiving earth, for 'tis your thoughts that now must deck our kings.
Setting on our shoulders, listen to the sound. Watch it all unfold, the story being told might be a tale of young lovers growing old. Watch it all unfold, the story being told might be the tale of you and I, dear, growing old.
Good, Monty, you're for a third time. Thank you. If someone could just roll me up
Are you from the government?
Must in your allowance or weigh a whole hi. I'm not gonna look at the camera. Sorry, that got real weird for a second. Sorry.
Well, Amy, I have acorns up here.
Ow.
I'll mark no words that smooth.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mark those words.
Yeah.
That struts and frets his lighting unit back and forth upon the thing. I should have kept going.
The thing, that's the thing.
And hold for the train. We got a plane coming. Hold. Hold for plane.
Crew, Abby.